Hey everybody, how's it going? Mr. Clinton just jumped off the chair right as I was about to issue a trigger warning. Trigger warning if you're someone who has not been treated well by your government during the coronavirus pandemic and pending economic recession, please do not watch this video. It will raise your blood pressure. Honestly, trigger warning, if you're a taxpayer, don't watch this video. It will raise your blood pressure. If you're anybody that gets less from the government than you pay in taxes, don't watch this. It will absolutely drive you insane. So this is a fraud-prone SBA program that sent about over $7 million to a family's fake farms. So this over here looks like just a normal house. Doesn't look like a farm where you're growing anything, but over 20 agricultural companies were registered here. So there's a few parts of this that are interesting. It says, in all, the owner of the Forest View home and his family members created 72 companies with agrarian-sounding names at 3 Cleveland area addresses and then used them to get approval for loans and grants totaling $7.2 million from the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. State and federal records show there's no sign of agricultural activity at any of the locations or that any of the companies were active before February 1st, a requirement for pandemic aid. None of them was registered with the Ohio Secretary of State's office before May. And when you continue scrolling, the part that was the most depressing to me, above anything else, is where it says, and I pray to God this is a typo. A $750 million computer program set up by the SBA in April was supposed to flag suspicious disaster aid applications before they were approved, but last month Bloomberg News quoted current and former SBA workers and outside fraud investigators describing widespread fraud that the computers failed to catch. Even a person posing as Donald Trump made off with a $5,000 grant. This is $750 million. Please, God, tell me that is a typo. I had mentioned in a video I did back in April, I was reading an article where someone said the SBA's computer system is antiquated and just awful and not made to deal with all of this. And $750 million computer program? I mean, there's a typo there. There's got to be some level of corruption there. I can't imagine a computer program costing $750 million. I don't care what it does. I don't care if it's artificial intelligence for the space shuttle. And it couldn't tell that someone claiming to be the president of the United States was not eligible for $5,000. It couldn't tell that if you have over 70 companies to these specific three, like if you have 20 companies at one address, and it's in a suburban area, even just this pure tallying. You have 20 companies in an address, and it's a residential. Look at that area, because typically 20 companies are not in a residential area in one single residence. This is beyond depressing, and I understand where people are coming from. Like when they were saying that there can't be as many means tests for these programs as before, because typically we go in the other direction with. Now, one thing I mentioned in a video that I did last year is that I was not eligible for a loan. This is back in 2019, pre-COVID. I was looking to move my business to a new location. I had 12 to 14 people working in a space that was pretty much a 650 square foot hallway. It was not efficient by any stretch of the imagination. And I wanted to be able to do this properly. I wanted to set things up properly from the very beginning. And that kind of fell apart because I was not eligible for any financing. I went to several of the banks that I had used and other institutions, and at first they said, okay, we can't give you the money that you want, but maybe we can give you what amounts to like 1 or 2 weeks of payroll, which was virtually nothing in the context of what I was looking to do. And then at the end of it, they said, no, you're actually not eligible for anything. Zero. Zilch, nothing. And to be clear, again, I'm not trying to say that I'm some amazing business owner or anything like that should be eligible for whatever he wants. But after being in business for 7.5 years at the location that I was using, so that store had been open for 7.5 years at that point. It was profitable. It grew from having just me as an employee to having anywhere from 12 to 14 people as employees. It had business going up year after year after year. I had no debts. It should have been fairly easy for me to get some sort of financing, and it wasn't. So if I'm not able to get anything, I'm not saying I'm some sort of millionaire, amazing businessman, but if I was eligible for nothing, then chances are the average person is going to be eligible for even less. So I understand why people were saying if the government is going to enforce shutdowns where people cannot go to work and cannot do business, that you need to remove the means testing, because if you have the means testing there, that's not going to allow me to get a loan after 7.5 years of business. Most likely, the average person's going to get screwed. I get why people were saying and advocating for bypassing all of this means testing, because it's going to result in nobody getting financing and everybody going under. However, at the same time, can't we have a middle ground? Like, I get it. I get it. You know how Chase, Capital One, and other companies are looking to distribute business loans. They're looking to give it out to companies with 500 plus employees and blah 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 that that have been around for 30 or 50 years and are amazingly successful with millions and millions in revenue. I get it. But like, can there be a middle? Do we have to have the choice of don't give loans to anybody except large corporations, or give out money to someone who claims let's give a grant, not even a loan, a grant of $5,000 to someone claiming to be Donald Trump. A, it's probably not Donald Trump, and B, Donald Trump doesn't need $5,000. Could we do something where if 20 businesses are registered in a residential area in the same address, that we do something about it? Not even 20 businesses in a building, because in New York and San Francisco and there are lots of businesses at one address. But if it is a residential area and you have 20 businesses in a residential area in one address, can we take a look at that using our $750 million computer program before we just go say money printer go burr? There really doesn't seem to be any middle grounds here. It's either nobody gets money, everybody gets money. But the problem with the everybody gets money thing is that the program then runs out of money because you gave money away to a bunch of con artists, which means there's no money there for the actual honest people. There's probably a lot of people in this comment section that applied for these programs that weren't able to get anything. And the reason that you weren't able to get anything is because, I mean, just putting it frankly, just because of fuck faces like the people that registered 20 businesses to one address. And another part of this, that it was where they're saying that you don't even need to have had a company. It said the creation of new phony companies is probably responsible for only a small fraction of the fraud that occurred in the program. Applicants don't need a formal legal entity or tax ID to be eligible. Bloomberg News reviews several fraud tutorials posted on social media, all of which recommended applying as an unincorporated sole proprietor. So there are fraud tutorials posted on social media. And it's not even like it's behind it's traded in secret. People are saying publicly, here's how you defraud the program, and taxpayers paid $750 million for a computer program to detect fraud that couldn't detect the fraud that people were talking about doing publicly. Ah! Oh man, I hear the libertarians screaming in my comment section. I hear them all. I hear them. I haven't even posted the video yet, but like through the time machine, I hear them. I hear their screams coming back to the time machine into my apartment. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today, and yeah, as always, I hope you learned something. I wish I hadn't learned this. I really do. This is so depressing. It's so depressing.